Welcome to the Homesteading for Beginners podcast. This is Mona Weathers, your host. If you're new here, I just want to say welcome, and I hope you enjoy this episode and others that I have. I'm getting closer and closer to 100 episodes, and it's really exciting for me. But anyway, there's lots of episodes for you to listen to. This episode that I'm going to be posting today is actually a rebroadcast. I recorded this way back in the beginning of this podcast. It's episode 12, but it fit right into the healthy homesteading topic that we're talking about right now, the series that we're going through right now. So it has more to do with your mindset and having the skills necessary to start up your homestead in a way that is healthy for you and your family and your community, and doing it by learning how to slow down. So this episode is about why you need to learn how to slow down, and that is actually a skill in my opinion, and how you can go about doing it. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Before we start though, I do want to remind you that there's only a few more days for the Passion to Profit bundle that I mentioned in the last episode. Last episode was a bonus episode, so go listen to that. But there's only a few more days left. Monday, October 30th is the last day. It's ends at 11:59 Eastern. PM Eastern. So you have only a few days. So if you're listening to this before then, please go check out the link that I have posted in the show notes, and you can learn more about that. Or you can also go to homesteadingomeplan.com and you'll see that I have information about it there as well. Okay, here we go. Today I will be talking about the skill of slowing down. This may not seem like a skill to some people, but listen to this podcast to learn why I think it's a skill. So bread making, cheese making, beekeeping, animal husbandry, and cooking, they're all things that people recognize as skills, right? If you've noticed, though, I've been talking and sharing on this podcast about skills that not many people talk about in the homesteading space, but that are just as important or even more important, and they have to do with mindset. Foundational mindset skills like pivoting, pressing on, and positivity, in what the episode I shared a couple weeks back, they will not only set you up for success, but will also grow your character in positive ways. If you take these mindset skills seriously and make them a part of your life, growth is inevitable. In the world we live in today, learning how to unplug and slow down is a skill. It's definitely a skill, especially with the younger generation coming up. We are constantly bombarded with information. Think about all the content that you've seen or heard or watched just today, or just in the last hour maybe. This is not something people just 30, 40, 50 years even had to deal with. I don't know the full effects of being bombarded with information, content, and all that will do to us long term, but I can see what it's doing to us now. So this may not be you. Maybe you are really good at slowing down and unplugging and not being connected. And maybe this is not you. Maybe I'm not talking to you, but I know that you at least know people close to you where this is an issue. But there are a lot of people out there that need to learn to slow down and not have to be stimulated by technology. So the skill of slowing down actually has to do with actively removing yourself from stimulants and intentionally resting. Rest is vital to productivity. I learned this over the years. If I don't rest, I usually am very unproductive, or I'm just running around trying to get a bunch of things done, and I may get some stuff done, but it never feels like I actually did very much. And I think that has to do with the rest time that we have in between, that we that we allow for ourselves in between the productivity times. When you envision the homesteading lifestyle or the homesteading life that you're living right now, is part of the picture that you envisioned you racing around trying to get all the stuff done on the farm? Like, is that part of your dream life? Like you just being kind of in chaos and hurry and busy? Or is it having a pace that matches nature where there's time, where time is not your enemy and you have more time to relax and you're more of a relaxed person? Are you envisioning rest and calm, or are you envisioning busy and hurry? If you're envisioning rest and calm, then you must intentionally set up your life to create that. It doesn't just happen anymore. Because the alternative is you wish for rest and calm, but you create busy and hurry because you didn't actually learn how to slow down. Here's a real world example from my own homesteading journey. So about 10 years ago, I was a mom with 3 kids. We had dairy goats, we had horses, chickens, turkeys, ducks, chucker, dogs, cats, and a couple of gardens. I had like a couple of garden spaces. And I was homeschooling, I was farm sitting on the side, I was cleaning houses on the side, and cooking most of my food from scratch. I mean, just thinking about this list of things that I did back then makes me feel very busy. Just thinking about it, it exhausts me. But the thing about it is, I think back to that time, and I think, why did I take on so much? No one made me add all these things to my life. But once they were a part of my homesteading life, I felt responsible and that it was mine to keep, and I had to keep the new addition, even if it overwhelmed me. I actually remember saying things like, well, I have to go out and feed the chickens anyway. What's a few more? Like, that was kind of my mindset. Like, what's a few more? Well, what's a few more got me into a lot of trouble because I kept doing that. I didn't just stop. I just kept saying, well, I'm just adding this little bit on. I felt in my mind, I had a good reason for adding these new responsibilities to my plate, but what it really did was cause a lot of stress. As a mom, I had enough things to do without adding all these farm things to my plate. Instead of living a life of rest and calm, I was creating busy and hurry. If your answer has ever been to the question, how's it going? If somebody asks you, how's it going? And you say, oh, it's busy. It's just really busy right now. Maybe you can relate to what I'm saying because if you actually assessed what was making you busy and why you wanted to give that as an answer, you might realize that some of the busyness that you have is self-created. You put that on yourself. You didn't actually need to add that. And I think, everything is individual. So some people feel like they're doing it for their children or they're doing it for their spouse, and then that's worth the busyness. So I'm not going to say your busyness is wrong. That is not what this message is. But I have a theory about most of our busyness. I think we create it and then blame it when we don't have enough time for other stuff. Let's stop creating busy and then blame busy for our busyness. How do we do that? By learning the skill of slowing down. As homesteaders, we are creating a life close to nature. This is part of the appeal of the lifestyle for many people. But have you ever noticed how much nature gets done in a day? Yet we call it calm and relaxing to be around it. Our homesteading journey should resemble this calm and consistent rhythm. I'm not saying we'll never be busy. We'll never have busy times during our journey. In fact, count on it. It will happen. But don't add things to your plate that don't need to be there. In the long run, it will be better for you to choose less and become really good at adding things only when you feel it won't create overwhelm. And if you're in this place of overwhelm overwhelm right now, don't be afraid to downsize. Downsizing doesn't mean you failed in any way. It means you've recognized your capacity and you're protecting your energy. For me, I ended up downsizing at the point where when I was just overwhelmed and had so many things. I remember once I was going to, or I did do this actually. I added mealworms to my plate. And I don't mean my physical plate, but mealworms are really good. If you don't know, mealworms are really good for chickens. They're a good supplement for chicken feed. And they're actually easy to raise. But I didn't need to add that to my plate. And I added mealworms and they never really grew very, they never took off. And so I could throw out a little bit of mealworms here and there to the chickens, but it never was anything that great. So I just spent all that time learning how to raise mealworms where I didn't need to, and I could have saved that energy for other things. I did not need to add that. I kind of did that the same with a couple other things, like actually worms for worm composting, although I think that's a really great way to invest. But I didn't give it all of my energy because I didn't have enough energy. I had spread myself so thin in other places. I didn't really have time to add worms. So recognizing when you're adding too much and understanding you don't need to do all the things. You really don't need to. Pick some things that you feel most passionate about right now. Learn them really well and then slowly add things. And don't forget your community. Your community can make it so that you can have the things that your farm doesn't. By trading, by buying from other people. You don't have to be so self-sufficient that it's really almost impossible to be completely self-sufficient these days. You really do need to count on other people. You should be, in my opinion, counting on other people for some of the things that you want and need. That is good. Being a part of a community makes you stronger. It doesn't make you less sufficient. It makes you a completely sufficient person if you have good community around you. So to recap, make time for rest. Make resting part of your life on a regular basis. Unplug from technology as much as you can, but if you can't, just pick one day. Like Sundays is my day where I don't at least get on social media and stuff. I use my phone, but it's for different reasons. Don't create busy and then blame busy for your busyness. And learn how to match the rhythm of nature because nature gets things done. Nature also rests, by the way. I hope you enjoyed that episode. It feels kind of weird to listen back on the beginning stages of my podcasting journey and to hear how I was, and just, it's not that bad in my opinion, but I can see that I'm a lot more confident now. And I want to encourage you that if you want to venture into something, just know that it's going to feel uncomfortable and it's going to be, you're going to be uncomfortable about it at first. But the only way that you get better, whether that's with your homesteading ventures, your business ventures, or whatever it is by practicing it, by doing it. That is the only way you become better. So if you want to be better at taking breaks and scheduling in rest and slowing down, you have to practice it. So I just wanted to thank you for listening, and please reach out to me if this episode resonated with you. You can find me on multiple places. I'll have the links in the show notes, but I just want you to know that I'm available to chat about these topics. So I hope you have a wonderful day, or wherever you are, or whatever time it is. I hope it's wonderful.